Andrew Philip Cunanan was born on August 31, 1969, in National City, California, a working-class suburb south of San Diego. He was the youngest of 4 children born to Modesto, Pete Cunanan, a Filipino-American U.S. Navy veteran and stockbroker, and Mary Ann Chilassi, an Italian-American homemaker. His family background was complex. Andrew's father, Modesto, cultivated an image of wealth and sophistication that later proved to be largely fictitious. He claimed elite connections, business success, and even intelligence ties, telling stories that portrayed him as a powerful and important man. In reality, Modesto's life was marked by financial instability, questionable business dealings, and eventual legal trouble. This pattern of grandiosity and deception was later seen in Andrew's own adult life. From a very young age, Andrew was recognized as extraordinarily intelligent. Psychological testing placed his IQ at approximately 147, well into the gifted range. He demonstrated a remarkable memory, rapid language acquisition, and an uncanny ability to adapt his personality to his audience. Teachers noted his brilliance, but also his tendency toward manipulation and exaggeration. Andrew attended Bishop's School, an elite private Episcopalian school in La Jolla, California, on a partial scholarship. The school served wealthy families, and Andrew was keenly aware of his outsider status. To compensate, he began fabricating stories about his family's wealth, claiming his father was a successful stockbroker and international power broker. He arrived at school in designer clothes, spoke confidently about travel and privilege, and quickly gained a reputation as both charming and unusual. Former classmates later recalled that Andrew could be dazzling in conversation, fluent in adult topics, pop culture, and high society well beyond his years. At the same time, he was known to lie compulsively. These lies were often elaborate and unnecessary, suggesting not simple deception but a constructed fantasy identity that Andrew seemed to partially believe himself. During adolescence, Andrew came to terms with his homosexuality. While Bishop's School was relatively liberal, Andrew still experienced internal conflict. Rather than hiding his identity, he leaned into it with confidence, often associating with older gay men and cultivating relationships that offered access to money, travel, and status. Even as a teenager, Andrew showed an ability to attach himself to benefactors, blending charm, intellect, and emotional manipulation. After graduating in 1987, Andrew enrolled at the University of California, San Diego, majoring in history. His academic performance was inconsistent. Though undeniably intelligent, he struggled with discipline and focus. He spent far more time cultivating social connections than attending classes. Andrew's parents were more protective and emotionally invested in him as the youngest child. They doted on Andrew and provided everything he needed, often describing him as exceptional and gifted. After Modesto abruptly left the family in 1988, fleeing to the Philippines amid financial ruin and possible fraud investigations, Andrew, who was 19 years old then, was profoundly affected by his father's disappearance. Andrew's obsession with wealth, status, and powerful older men appeared to intensify after his father's fall from grace. The abandonment planted deep insecurities, particularly around masculinity, worth, and success. That same year, Cunanan had begun frequenting local gay clubs and restaurants, and his mother, who was a deeply religious Catholic, learned about his sexual orientation. During an argument, Cunanan threw his mother against a wall, dislocating her shoulder. He dropped out of school in 1989 without earning a degree. By his early 20s, Andrew had fully adopted a nomadic lifestyle, drifting between the Hillcrest and La Jolla neighborhoods of San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, and Miami. He supported himself not through steady employment, but through a web of relationships with wealthy older men, some of whom acted as lovers, patrons, or temporary caretakers. Andrew was adept at reshaping his personality to suit each situation, intellectual companion, glamorous escort, emotional confidant. Despite his charm, Andrew's relationships were often volatile. He was prone to intense jealousy, sudden rage, and paranoia, particularly when he felt abandoned or financially threatened. Friends described him as brilliant but unstable, capable of warmth one moment and cruelty the next. By the mid-1990s, Andrew's life began to unravel. Several of his benefactors cut him off financially. He accumulated debt, struggled to maintain housing, and experienced what appeared to be a psychological break. Cunanan's killings began in Minneapolis on April 27, 1997, with the murder of his friend, 28-year-old Jeffrey Allen, Jeff, Trail. After an earlier argument in Trail's apartment, Cunanan stole Trail's gun and took it to David Madsen's loft apartment. Cunanan phoned Trail from Madsen's apartment to tell him to come and retrieve his gun. When Trail arrived, Cunanan beat him to death with a hammer in front of Madsen. Trail's body was then discovered by Madsen's colleague who came to check up on Madsen after his absence at work. Investigators then treated Madsen as a suspect in Trail's murder, but Madsen's family insisted he was held hostage by Cunanan. His second victim, David Madsen, 33, a Minneapolis architect, who Cunanan met in San Francisco bar. On May 2nd, Madsen and Cunanan were seen north of Minneapolis, driving in Madsen's Jeep and eating lunch together in a bar. The following morning, Madsen's body was found on the east shore of Rush Lake near Rush City, Minnesota, with gunshot wounds to the head and back from a .40 caliber Taurus semi-automatic pistol Cunanan had taken from Trail's home. On May 3rd, Cunanan drove to Chicago, Illinois, and killed his third victim, 72-year-old Lee Albert Miglin, a prominent real estate developer. He bound Miglin's hands and feet and wrapped his head with duct tape, then stabbed him more than 20 times with a screwdriver, slit his throat with a hacksaw, and stole his car. Miglin's family maintained that the killing was random and there was no relationship between the two before Miglin's death. On May 9, 1997, in Pennsville, New Jersey, Cunanan encountered William Reese, his fourth victim, a 45-year-old cemetery caretaker and father. Reese discovered Cunanan sleeping in his truck. Cunanan shot Reese and stole the vehicle. The murder was utilitarian. There was no personal connection. Investigators concluded that Reese was killed solely to facilitate Cunanan's escape. The final and most infamous victim was Gianni Versace, the world-renowned fashion designer. Around 8:45 a.m. on July 15, 1997, Cunanan murdered 50-year-old Giovanni Maria, Johnny, Versace on the front steps of Casa Casuarina, his mansion in Miami Beach. Versace was returning from a visit to the News Cafe, where he picked up magazines, when he was shot once in the back of the head and once in the left cheek. The murder shocked the world and transformed Cunanan into one of the most recognizable fugitives in modern American history. Cunanan allegedly first met fashion designer Gianni Versace in San Francisco in October 1990, when Versace was in town to be recognized for the costumes he had designed for the San Francisco opera production of Richard Strauss's opera Capriccio, although Versace's family has always denied that the two men never met. A nationwide manhunt followed. Cunanan was placed on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Despite his notoriety, he evaded capture for 8 days. On July 23, 1997, Cunanan's body was found in a luxury houseboat in Miami Beach, after a caretaker reported to police of hearing a gunshot. He had died by suicide from a gunshot wound to the head using the same weapon that killed Versace. Cunanan left behind no manifesto, no confession, and no clear explanation for his actions. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to read them. Subscribe and share the link to your friends. Thanks once again, and hopefully I will see you on the next one.